What's happening, everybody, man? This is your boy Trey, man, and I'm coming to you live from GameDay Wit Tre. Gonna give you a quick update on a few things that have occurred today in the last news cycle of the last 24 hours in sports. All right. First, we're gonna start off with that Boston Celtics Miami game last night, man. Honestly, I want to say, I don't want to say it's over for Miami, but if Miami does not match the intensity level that Boston has now risen the bar to, then this thing's going to be over, man. Last night, the way that Jason Tatum came out in the beginning of the game and how he asserted himself and asserted his will on the game from the very start of the game, taking it to the rack, getting those two dunks, the one two-hand dunk, the other one where he took around the corner, crossed the free throw line, and one-hand dunk, all that stuff right there, man, that leads the momentum that can really lift your team to that next stratosphere. All right. And we all witnessed it last night. I mean, his stat line will show you that he really didn't do what he's been doing throughout this whole series. Throughout the series, he's been scoring 30 plus every game, you guys. Last night, he only gave you 21 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds. All right. Now, those are pretty pedestrian numbers for Jason Tatum. Okay. But at the end of the day, it really wasn't just about Jason Tatum. That defense was stifling. Okay. I believe that Miami turned the ball over 16 times last night. Just to Boston's 10 turnovers. Although Miami did win the battle on points scored off a turnover somehow, which really boggled my mind, but somehow they managed to do that. Okay. Now, the defensive effort really shows a little bit more to you when you look at the statistics, when you're looking at what the field goal percentage was versus the three-point percentage. All right, so last night, Boston shot 50.6% from the field and 41% from three-point line, while Miami went out there and shot 51.3% from the field, but 39.1% from the three-point line. So once again, it came back to those threes, and anytime somebody shoots 50-40 as a team, that usually adds up to a win. All right, especially when you're playing in TD Garden. All right, like playing up in Boston is a different animal. The fans, the way that the spirit, I guess, of the Celtics comes alive. I mean, if you listen to whether you're listening to Magic Johnson or Michael Jordan or Patrick Ewing or any of the greats throughout history, LeBron James, okay, they all tell you the ball bounces a little different in Boston, man. For some reason, that little leprechaun, he's real, okay? And the luck of the Irish, that came out last night. Now, just to give you a couple more stats, even when you look at what happened last night in the rebounding totals, right? Now, normally you expect a team that is winning in rebounds or is even close within a couple rebounds of the other team to keep the game closer than what the score reflected last night. I mean, the rebounds was 37 total rebounds to 36 total rebounds. Boston had the advantage by 1 rebound. That's not a lot. All right. So, like I said, it has to come back to those 6 turnovers, but let's add up the points on that. Okay. Because when Miami got 10 turnovers or forced 10 turnovers, and Boston forced 16 turnovers. All right, those extra 6 turnovers can come up to anywhere from 12 to, let's say, 18 points. All right, what was the final score, you guys? Score was 110 to 97. So those turnovers are what really led to the difference in this game. Okay, and now that they're going back to Miami, I'm just going to be honest with you. I believe Boston's already blown that flame out. The way that Miami has responded in this last 2 games is not sufficient to what you would expect of a team that is at this point in the season. They kind of look like they did in the regular season. They look very erratic right now, and it's got to be troubling for all the Heat fans out there. I'm really intrigued to see what unfolds in this next game because it should be a dogfight, but will it really be a dogfight? Are they going to lay down? Is Jimmy Buckets going to come out and do what he's supposed to do? Is he really going to lead this team? Because you can't shoot 5 of 10. You have to shoot the ball more than 10 times, all right, for 14 points. It can't happen, especially at this point in the season. And then bam, 16 points, 8 of 13. That's pretty efficient for you. But you got to have a couple more points, man. Like, this is one of the times where it actually came back to bite them a little bit more on the fact that it's just so many people so free-willed to shoot the ball at this point in time. All right. Sometimes somebody has to tell somebody no. Sometimes somebody has to tell them that, man, look, man, give me the ball. Plain and simple. Just stop shooting and just give me the ball. All right. We'll work out the particulars later. All right. But at the end of the day, if we're here to win, then we need to be all here to win on the same page. All right. And if it's not your night, it's not your night. Okay. Now, if you look on the stat line, once again, come back to it because the stat line will tell you what happened in the actual game, especially when you look at it against the spread. All right. If Vegas was expecting Boston to win by 8 points and they won by 13, okay, and then there were 6 extra turnovers that basically added into 12 of those 13 points, could have even led to the whole point spread right there that was covered. You know, you have to kind of understand what happened. And if you look at the numbers, Boston had 4 players that scored 20 points or better. All right. Brown had 21. Tatum had 21. White had 24. And Smart had 23. Now, that's not going to happen all the time. Okay. Because White and Smart are not the type of players that actually come out on a consistent basis and shoot 8 of 11. When you're talking about White, which is 6 of 8 from 3. And then Smart shooting 7 of 12, which is more close to what he kind of does, but not 4 from 6 from 3. Okay. These are the type of things that aren't going to happen consistently, but that shows you a team that's showing up as a team. Okay. That's major. That's what Miami was doing in the beginning of this series. And by missing Gabe Vincent last night, I believe also that played a big role or a big part in what unfolded. Okay, missing that point guard and able to initiate the offense to help Jimmy Buckets to be able to do what he needs to do, all right, or to even spread out the offense a little bit more and stretch it because of the fact that he can create his own shot and he can do what needs to be done to put Miami in a position of success and not behind the 8 ball. All right, Kyle Lowry is not the guy for this moment. Not to say he's not the guy to come off the bench, but he's not the guy to be starting right now. Like, he's a little bit older, he's a little bit slower, and he got taken advantage of last night. All right, now, what you gonna do, Miami? Are you gonna stand up or you gonna lay down? Because at the end of the day, man, you've come too far, but you really look like a team that's looking forward to Memorial Day weekend in Miami. You know, getting ready to hang out. You know, like, I don't even think that should be something you should be considering right now. And I'm from Florida, in Florida. Yeah, it's fun down there. Memorial Day weekend, Miami. If you have not been, I suggest you take a second to go. Okay, there's a lot going on down there. If you're younger or if you're older. Okay, there's a lot of things you can do, a lot of things that you can partake in and enjoy, and it's definitely the ambiance that you want to be in. It's the environment. It's nice. It's beautiful down here, but I digress, man. Let me get back to what I'm talking about. That's what they're thinking about. They're thinking about what I just gave you, okay? Their heads are not in the game, and if they don't show up in this next game and they lose in Miami, I guarantee that Boston is not going to lay down in TD Garden. And then there will be the first team in history to come back from 3-0. Do you really want to be that, Miami? Do you want to be that team that is mentioned in history as came back 3-0? Jimmy Buckets, do you want to be that guy that is the star that's tagged onto the team that even though it was nothing but a bunch of undrafted free agents still ended up being the first team ever to be reverse swept. Like, that is, oh man. When they bring the broom out in reverse, I've only seen it twice in my life, or 3 times actually. Okay. It happened with Portland in like '03, I believe. It happened with the Boston Red Sox, okay, against the Yankees. And it happened with there's one more team. Oh, hockey, LA Kings. So yeah, these are very rare times, especially in the NBA. You don't usually see a team full of undrafted free agents. Okay, I know they hate when you bring it up, but it's true. You're an undrafted free agent. That means you came from nothing. You started and you balling out, and you should be owning that and feeling pride that as a team, you guys are that team. Okay, because that means you're a team full of dogs. But at the end of the day, that dog got to come out in the playoffs, and it got to come out right now, this next game. If it don't come out, you guys are dead. Back to Jason Tatum. Now, Jason Tatum, brother, I honestly believe that even though you didn't score what you normally score, I believe that that's the way that you need to lead your team, brother. Okay, when you come out there and you assert yourself from the very jump, the team will follow. I know that it's not your normal protocol to come out there and take it to the cup like that and get those dunks. But I'm telling you, teams feed off of that. Trust me, it's a better shot than taking that 3. You got a 3. Not to say that you don't. Not to say you shouldn't take the 3. But, man, it feels good to see the ball go in the cup with such force and such intensity. The rest of your team fed off of that, and if you can't see it, then I don't know what you're watching. All right? Normally, like I said, you don't get those type of numbers from White and from Smart. But you got that last night, okay? So I guess there was a little magic up there in old Beantown. So, on other news, the Cardinals released DeAndre Hopkins. ESPN staff writer Josh Winfuss reports Cardinals released 30-year-old receiver, relieving themselves of a $30.75 million cap hit, highest amongst receivers in the NFL. All right, there's like 3 teams that they have out there that they're talking about are interested, but I'm going to give you a couple of mine, as well as the salary cap situations that all these teams are in, and I'm going to tell you who should be interested. Now, they're saying that, or maybe he's interested in these 3 teams, but maybe there is a little mutual interest here. So it's the Buffalo Bills, who's got Josh Allen at quarterback. All right, but they've only got $1.4 million under the cap. Now, you could work some things out and try to do some things, but I don't think D-Hop's trying to take a team-friendly deal like that. All right, remember his $30.75 million that he was against the cap this year, which means he was supposed to make somewhere towards $20 million this year had he still been on the roster for the Cardinals. Okay, that's the highest in the NFL for his position. So that tells me he definitely is interested in the money, but maybe a chip can mean more to him. All right, the second team he's very interested in is the Baltimore Ravens. That's Lamar Jackson. Now, right now, they got a stable of wide receivers over there. I just talked about that yesterday with Rashad Bateman and Odell Beckham Jr. and Zay Flowers and Duvernay and the tight end Mark Andrews. So I really don't think that, even though they have $11.7 million under the cap in space, that they could actually play with and try to go get D-Hop. I honestly don't feel like that is a good fit for him. Not that I don't want to see him with Lamar, because I did want to see that earlier this season, and we're off season, and I was clamoring for that union to take place. 2 Florida boys coming together on a great mob, I believe would have been a good thing, but I don't really see that one happening. The third team he's actually interested in somehow is the New England Patriots. Okay, now, Bill O'Brien is the actual offensive coordinator over there. They have $14.1 million in salary cap that's available right now, so they do have the possibility of trying to sign him. But when you sit back and you look at the situation that occurred when he was traded from the Texans, remember Bill O'Brien was the head coach that traded him. Okay. And he traded him for absolutely nothing, almost a bag of chips. So at the end of the day, you guys, I really don't think that marriage is going to happen. Like, it could happen. Things like that. Weirder things have happened. More crazier situations have taken place. But at the end of the day, I'm really not seeing that one. Unless, like, Bill Belichick wants to go get him and is pushing for that. Because the only real wide receiver they got over there right now is possibly the young boy Kayshon Boutte that they just drafted out of LSU. I think he's a good wide receiver, serviceable. He's young. I think Juju's good wide receiver. I think he's serviceable, but he's only going to have his ceiling is only going to be so high. And then there's also a lot of word coming out of Arizona that they were kind of getting tired of what D-Hop's mouth was. D-Hop was speaking out. He was just on I Am Athlete, and he just spoke out and named his top 5 quarterbacks, and Kyler Murray was not on the list. And then on top of Kyler Murray, which was his quarterback, not being on that list, he also did not say that he was not interested or was interested in staying. Okay. And when you waffle and don't tell your team really where you want to be, then they tend to not want you. He also made a statement talking about he wanted to play with a quarterback that loved football, basically saying that Kyler Murray doesn't love football. So that means to me that Kyler Murray's playing for the money, not for the love of the game. And remember, you guys, he was a baseball player. All right. He could have been drafted or might have been drafted if I can't remember. I know he chose the NFL because of the money. And whenever someone makes decisions because of money, it's usually at the peril or downfall of someone else or themselves. So, yeah, I understand why D-Hop don't want to be there. But those 3 teams playing with Mac Jones, that's a possibility, but I don't think the Bill O'Brien thing's going to work. Playing with Josh Allen, that would be cool, but then again, they have no money. Baltimore, wide receiver room full. So let's get to a couple teams that I think, well, hold up. Before we get to my teams, let's just go over the teams with the most cap space. Okay, so the 4 teams with the most cap space out there right now is number 1, the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears got $32.5 million in salary cap space, and they got Chase Claypool. They got a couple more wide receivers that they just drafted. I mean, they could use him, but I'm not sure if Justin Fields fits the criteria of quarterback that he is trying to align himself with at this stage in his career. So I'm going to mark them off. And let's look. Okay, you got the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers have $27.3 million out there. They just drafted Bryce Young first. They also have Andy Dalton in competition with Bryce Young. They got Terrence Marshall at wide receiver. They traded all away DJ Moore. Like, they pretty much are in a rebuild. That's not where I would think he wants to be yet either. Okay. You got the Colts. Colts got Michael Pittman Jr. They got $23.4 million in salary cap money, but they got Anthony Richardson. Now, the offense that they're running is going to be more akin to the Philadelphia Eagles offense because they got their offensive coordinator from the Philadelphia Eagles. So I honestly feel like it's a good fit for the Colts with their quarterback, and maybe even going to get D-Hop. Well, they're in a rebuild too. So I really don't see that one working out either. Now, the 4th team is the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to be honest with you. I honestly think the Detroit Lions is the best fit for them. Detroit Lions have $23.7 million in cap space. Okay. The wide receiver room is like abysmal. It's empty right now. Okay, they got Josh Reynolds. They got St. Brown, which is a good wide receiver. I'm not like talking down on any of these wide receivers, but just look at the room. Okay, they got Josh Reynolds. They got St. Brown. They got Jamison Williams, who's suspended for the first 6 or 7 games for gambling. They got Khalif Raymond. I believe he was like with the Bucks at one point or something like that. He's like a fast dude, but he's not really the guy. He's not definitely not the hands guy. Then you got Anton Green, Chase Cota, and Dylan Drummond. If any of you guys out there can tell me any of the stats just off the top of your head for any of those guys, the colleges they went to, the states that they're from. And I'm talking about the ones outside of Jamison Williams, Josh Reynolds, and St. Brown. So if you can give me some information on Raymond, Green, or Cota, or Drummond off the top of your head, then, man, you a beast. Because I don't know nothing about none of those 4 guys except for Raymond. And that's because I've done some scouting on him. That's it. All right? So at the end of the day, right now, that's the team that I would think that he would be looking at the most, or that should be looking at him. Okay, they are in the playoff window. They got Jared Goff. They got Hendon Hooker as the backup quarterback. They already got the running backs there. They already got they got Jahmyr Gibbs they just drafted. They got a solid offensive line with Penei Sewell. They got a very good defense that's up and coming right now. Like, not to say that it's a great defense, but it will be or has the makings of being a great defense. All right, so, and they play in the NFC North, where the only team you really got to worry about right now is the Minnesota Vikings with Kirk Cousins. Like, yeah, it's not the easiest, but it's not the hardest either, guys. I honestly feel like that might be the best fit for D-Hop. Just saying, I mean, unless somebody else wants to finagle something else, but there's really not more teams out there with more money that can offer him the money and give him the opportunity to win. Not to say they're going to offer him that money that he wants, but they can offer him the best opportunity with the most money. Okay? Because these other 3 teams that I got listed on this salary cap deal that are contenders, they can use him, but really don't need him. Okay, you got the Eagles. The Eagles right now at $13.4 million in salary cap room. But their wide receiver room is stocked. I mean, jam-packed. They could use another guy, but do you really need another guy? Like, do you really need Diop? And how much money are you going to give him if you only got 13.4? So then we go to the Chargers. Okay. The Chargers only got $12.7 million available. Okay. Their wide receiver room is kind of packed a little bit. They got Palmer, they got Williams, they got they got I forgot the other young boy's name, but they have like 3 or 4 wide receivers out there right now. Okay, so I don't really think that they need any more than what they got. Okay, then when you look at the last team that's on my list, you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, D-Hop's a Florida boy. Okay, I could see him coming home. That does make a little sense. The Jacksonville Jaguars do have $12.2 million under the salary cap that they can play with or spend. Their wide receiver rooms, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Jamal Agnew, Parker Washington, Jacob Harris. Like, are you serious? I honestly feel like he could come in that room and dominate. He could definitely be the one. Like, on day one, he could be the one. And with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, that's pretty intriguing. But like I said, do they give him the best chance to get a Super Bowl and give him the money that he's looking for? In my honest opinion, I feel like the Detroit Lions should be the spot that he chooses. And should be the team that's going after him, especially since you got suspensions out there right now, man. I mean, Jameson Williams is out for that first half of the season or almost half of the season. That's like going to hurt when you're trying to lock up some playoff positioning. Okay. not to say that you weren't playing great last year and didn't almost make it to the playoffs last year and all that good stuff there. But every year is different, and the more film that a team gets on you and the more experience other teams get against coaching against you, all right, the better they are at reacting at what you do. Now, I'm not saying Dan Campbell cannot become the guy that is one of the greatest coaches in NFL history. I mean, look at what's happening right now with the Eagles coach. Like, nobody thought the Eagles coach was going to get them to this point a couple years ago. Everybody was talking trash about that guy when they hired him. Just like they were talking trash about Dan Campbell, talking about he wants knee biters and everything like that. And look what he's doing. Look what he's doing with that team. And if he can somehow, some way end up with D-Hop, I believe that offense can be even more potent than it was last year. Remember, the Lions offense was scoring somewhere up to 30 plus points a game last year. They were in shootouts every week. So, if you're a Lions fan, please let me know in the comments what you think, man. Is D-Hop something that you guys want out there? Okay, and then for everybody else, Baltimore fans, New England, anybody out there in the league, tell me if you think your team should get D-Hop, and then I'll cover something on it and we'll talk. All right, and hopefully we'll come up with something that'll be beneficial for your team, and so you can land the man that you're supposed to land. All right, because there's a lot of scenarios out there, but there's only certain scenarios that are real. And on here, all we talk about is the real. Now, we don't make up fictitious things and try to come up with our own fantasy league, okay? Because you can't do that. You got to have parameters and you got to have rules. You got to be adhering to what's actually happening out there, and you got to be looking at the teams. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the little episode and the update today. All right. I will be probably hitting you with another prediction, another reaction real soon. But until then, man, y'all have a blessed day. Stay safe, and I'm going to holler at y'all, man. One.